What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the TB Toycast YouTube channel. And today we are back with another edition of What's on the Pegs right here. And of course, if it's first time checking out the show, appreciate you checking it out. It's always a lot of fun to dive into what's new in the retail toy world, as it were. I'm always checking out different stores, from your major retailers to even vintage toy shops. Always finding new stuff, always kind of documenting what I'm finding. Of course, this is episode 25 episodes, 25 weeks we've been doing this now, so quite a while. Hope you guys are still enjoying it. It's been a lot of fun for me, so I hope you guys do enjoy it. And if it's your first time checking it out, I would appreciate if you'd subscribe to the channel and let a few people know. That always helps grow the channel kind of organically, right? That word of mouth, as it were. But always a lot of fun to dive into new stuff and some old stuff too. Like this one. This is the first thing I noticed this week on my toy hunts. Some old school Masterverse. We got Battle Armor He-Man. This is, of course, the new Eternia He-Man. And the Princess of Power, we got Frosta. Frosta, kind of one that slid under the radar there a little bit, but definitely a fun figure. And that Battle Armor He-Man is really, really fun as well. I believe the Battle Armor Skeletor is actually going for a pretty significant amount of money these days. So one of those things with these new figures, you just never know. Some of them end up being, like this one's going for 15, so that's actually below retail. Frosta's going for 20, which is about, retail price on her. But Battle Armor Skeletor, I think, is like a $100 figure now. So, I mean, would I pay that? No, probably not. But apparently some people are. One of those things you just never know. But it's always cool to see some Masterverse figures on the channel. Or, I'm sorry, not on the channel, but in the wild, as it were. I do have Battle Armor He-Man. I have not picked up Frosta yet, so that will be coming sooner rather than later, though, I'm sure. A lot of interesting stuff here in this picture. Of course, we got Thunder Rosa there from the AEW line. She's kind of slid under the radar. You don't see too much from her anymore these days, which is unfortunate. We got the Honky Tonk Man from WWE Superstar Series 1. Of course, this is kind of a Motu-inspired line following on the heels of the figure right next to it, Masters of the WWE Universe. That was definitely an interesting line where they kind of combined He-Man with WWE. Some people loved it, some didn't. And then, of course, we got a Masters of the Universe Origins. We got actually a Lords of Power Merman, which is a pretty fun figure as well. But the Masters of the WWE Universe I thought was really cool because with the return of He-Man, I'm like, oh, awesome. And, why not combine a John Cena, Rey Mysterio, and Undertaker with that line? That's really, really fun. Some were easy to find. Some were ridiculously hard to find. It was a little bit of both, but cool nonetheless. And then they shifted gears to WWE Superstars, which is still going to this day. Of course, Honky Tonk Man was a part of Wave 1, which also included Ric Flair, Bray Wyatt, and Hollywood Hogan. Really fun. They incorporated a lot of soft goods. As you can see, the Honky Tonk Man's got the soft goods jumpsuit, which is always kind of cool. So not a bad line at all. Definitely fun stuff for sure. So a lot of cool stuff here at this vintage toy shop. And I thought this was worth taking a picture of. I actually own this figure, but it looks like it's going for $35. I definitely didn't pay that much for it. But a Guardians of the Galaxy Star-Lord. More of a comic-inspired version of Star-Lord. More so than what we see in the current movie versions, of course. But definitely a cool figure. Of course, we also got Wong there from Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Definitely a movie-inspired figure. And then Black Adam. Atom Smasher, which I always thought was a fun figure. And I felt like that one, even though it's a movie figure, could kind of mix into the comic book ones a little bit. Haven't picked it up, but would be kind of cool. I've kind of gone a little off track with the DC Multiverse. I may pick them back up eventually, but as of right now, I haven't picked up any recently. So, again, I go hot and cold with toy lines a lot. Do you guys do that? It's definitely something I do where I'm just like, I'm not into that right now, or maybe there's other stuff I'd rather purchase. Is usually the case with that. And as we do know, DC Multiverse will be moving to Mattel. And this is kind of a cool one to showcase right here. We got a Rick Flag from Suicide Squad, DC Multiverse Mattel. Of course, Mattel had the line for several years. And this is kind of what they were putting out here. Not a terrible looking figure, but also not the greatest looking figure either. Head sculpt looks alright. The body, I don't know. Look at those legs. A little bit off for me. $10 takes us home, so not a bad price, of course. But the DC Multiverse from Mattel weren't doing a lot for me. Now, I have heard rumor that they might be going more to the Masterverse style, which we just showed a little bit earlier, for their new DC figures, which I assume they're going to be called DC Multiverse again, but there's no guarantee that's what they're called. They could be something different. Me personally, I do hope it's different. We've had DC Multiverse from Mattel. We've had DC Multiverse from McFarlane. Give us a different name. I understand that name works. for what you're trying to accomplish, but give us a different name. I think that would definitely be better, but time will tell, because I believe that doesn't take place till sometime in 2026. But their Rick Flag Suicide Squad figure, not the greatest, but not horrible either, I guess. Always cool to see some Super Friends on the pegs here. Of course, we got Superman, we got the Flash, and we got Toyman here. I saw these at Target. I am going to try to be complete on the Super Friends line. If you've been watching my unboxings, I do have, from Series 3, I do have Toyman, I do have the Flash. I've also picked up Captain Cold and the Universe of Evil Superman, which is the red platinum variant. I'm still missing Cheetah and Superman. So this particular day, I did not pick up Superman, which I do regret, because that's a little bit harder to find now. But I have no doubt I'll eventually be able to track it down. So that's kind of next on my list to grab. But I got a couple more, and then Wave 3 probably will be hitting stores sooner rather than later. We've already seen the images for Wave 3. Hopefully it continues on. Hopefully we get about 5 or 6 waves of these, because I love the McFarlane Super Friends. Wave 3, of course, will have Zan, Jaina, the Wonder Twins, Aquaman, Brainiac, Bizarro, and Bizarro Batman. So it should be a fun wave as well. So we'll be looking for those probably, I would say, late 2026, maybe late 2025 or early 2026. So this was an interesting find here at a local Walmart, nonetheless, is the Cyborg Superman from DC Multiverse, a gold label. I remember really wanting this for the longest time because I love the color scheme of the red and black. I was like, oh, that is such a cool figure. I got to get this. And I hunted for it everywhere. Couldn't find it. Kind of gave up on it. Wasn't wanting to pay the eBay prices. And then I just saw it sitting there. But it's weird. I've kind of was like, I don't know. Do I still want DC Multiverse? Like, they're cool, but I don't know if I need that. And I passed on it. Now it's gone. So I do kind of regret passing on it that particular day, but I'm sure you guys have been there where you just didn't quite have the extra cash when you see it. And you're like, I don't really want to spend the money, and you don't, and then it's gone forever. So it does happen, unfortunately. Cool figure. Not one I feel like I definitely needed, but it was definitely a cool figure. And then, of course, we got another DC digital Superman there with the Eagle, which is a cool Superman, but definitely not my version of Superman at all. But it's a fun get, I guess, if you're kind of a completionist on that line. This, again, Walmart has that little collector section there right in the middle. We're getting a lot of cool stuff. Here's Crystal Ball, Richard King, a.k.a. Crystal Ball from G.I. Joe. He's definitely a figure I always thought that belonged in the G.I. Joe classified line, so I'm really glad we have him now. Again, I go hot and cold on lines, and I'm a little bit cold on G.I. Joe classified right now. A lot of cool figures, but I'm like, I don't know. And I think with Hasbro kind of upping the price even more, it's a little bit harder to dive into it. So hopefully things level out a little bit. We'll see. Time will tell. But like I said, it's a great figure, and he's a really fun character, but I just didn't feel like I needed it on this particular case. But I've seen it since then, so I may pick it up down the road. Who's to say? I don't dive into a whole lot of Lego, but I had to get a picture of this just because I thought this was so fun. How cool is a Lego Game Boy? Like, that is so fun. And if you look on the side of the package there, it looks like it even comes with 2 cartridges of Super Mario Land and Zelda, Legend of Zelda. Like, how cool is that? The Game Boy was so much fun. I remember my cousins both of them had a Game Boy, and I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. And, they had a few different games. I'm like, oh, that's so fun. I want a Game Boy so bad. And I had one later, but, man, the Game Boy was just so much fun. I remember getting it at a flea market, of all places, for $10. And I got Super Mario Land with it. Like, that's a steal. That's a steal in the 90s. That's a steal today. But, yeah, the Game Boy is so much fun. And a lot of great games on it, too. The Game Boy was super underrated, in my opinion. Let's talk a little retro toys. These are popping up at Target. The old school Viewmaster. How cool is this? I remember having a Viewmaster. I never thought that much about it. It was just always kind of just one of those things. It includes 2 reels on this. I don't know. It's hard for me to get excited about a Viewmaster this day and age because I feel like it was just a product of its time. But what do you guys think? It's cool, Again, it's one of those toys when you have it, you flip through all the reels. So if you have like 3 reels, because I know it came with 1, and if you got a set, which was like 3, you now have 4. You flip through them all in about 20 seconds, and you're like, well, that's it. I'm done. And it kind of goes in a drawer, and you never look at it again. That was always my thoughts. But the Viewmaster was big business. They had their own like aisle at one point with so many different reels, but again, it was just never one that really hit for me. But Your mileage may vary. What do you guys think of the Viewmaster? Definitely interesting. Endangered species, so looking at animals is always kind of fun. So maybe my little niece would like it. She's about 2. That might be it. Might be her cup of tea, but she's more into the iPhone these days and watching YouTube for kids. Another fun retro figure, Stretch Armstrong. I never actually owned a Stretch Armstrong, but I did have some of the LJN Stretch Wrestlers. I don't know. This, again, it's like, oh, it can stretch. Okay. So you get it and it stretches and that's it. And it just kind of, you're like, I don't know. The appeal was never there for me. But again, everyone might be a little bit different on that. Not much to say there. The Magnadoodle was always kind of cool. I had a Magnadoodle as a kid. I remember it being very hard to draw on. Like you see these pictures here and it's like, oh, look what you can draw. No, that was not the case. Like it was very hard to draw accurately on this. And I can't draw very good anyway, but I definitely couldn't on a Magnadoodle. But it was always kind of cool to, like, you use the thing and wipe it off, and then you got the little shapes on there so you can make shapes and stuff. But I don't know. I always think of the Magnadoodle. I always think of Friends. Joey and Chandler had one in their apartment they used for notes. I don't know. Kind of fun, but I don't know. Probably not something I would need. I would love to. I didn't look at the price on these. I wonder how much these cost, but because, like I said, I remember the Magnadoodle being great as a kid, but nowadays I just don't see that hitting quite the same. And another vintage toy, and like, I don't know if it's just vintage toys in general, but some of these just don't hit for me. How about the Light Bright? Never owned a Light Bright. I did have a neighbor friend who had one, and we played it a couple of times. And like, you just make the picture, and then it glows, and you're like, oh, okay. And then you take it all apart and do the next one. So it's like there's no way to keep any of this stuff. I don't know. It just seemed a little, like, bleh to me. But again, I think that's the point of vintage toys. So a couple of cool vintage toys to kind of round out this episode. What do you guys think? Let me know what you're finding out there in your toy hunts. Drop that in the comments down below, or shoot me a message at TB Toycast and send me pictures of what you're finding. I could possibly put it up in a future episode of What's on the Pigs. Of course, check out my unboxing videos. I do 3 unboxing videos every single week, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. In fact, Monday this week, I unboxed something pretty fun. It was Fisto from Mattel Masters of the Universe Masterverse. Love the Masterverse line, and that Fisto figure was incredible, so really cool to unbox that. On Wednesday, I unboxed Green Lantern from the Kenner DC Comics Total Justice line. Super fun as well. And then on Friday, I went retro again with the world of Hastel Toy and the Grapplers and Gimmicks with Lord Alfred Hayes. A notable omission from all action figure lines from way back in the day. Should have had an LJN, should have had a Hasbro. Very cool to get him in the retro line from Mitch over there at Hastel Toy. And, of course, also check out Tales of the Toy Box, dropping every month. Last month was episode 5, which I need to get episode 6 done. Episode 5 was all about He-Man and the Masters of the Universe Series 1, so a really, really fun one. Check that out as well. And also check out the TB Toycast podcast, dropping every Thursday. We have a different main event, as well as all the news and happenings in the toy world that particular week, so check that out as well. Thank you all very much for checking out the TB Toycast YouTube channel. This is What's on the Pegs, episode 25, and we will see you in the toy aisle.
Yeah. One more time. It ain't over till I say it's over. So lock the cage up, cause this is a takeover. The wait's over. If this the final time we meet, then you'll be on your back on my feet. Then I'll tip the cage over as a hangover. I'm super fly so I can splash off the top. And I can shut down the shot.